In 2008, I took a brief detour in my life, completing a unit of Clinical Pastoral Education, or CPE, at the Veterans Hospital here in Pittsburgh. Now, during CPE, you work as a hospital chaplain, but also spend a great deal of time on your own formation as a pastoral caregiver. Many people find CPE a bumpy road that may go out of its way to force travelers to confront obstacles head-on. An integral component of our ministerial preparation, CPE can provide a valuable exploration of the gifts and the challenges that one brings to the ministry. Now, during my time at the VA facility, I visited patients in various life and medical conditions. I spent most of my time in hospice and the palliative care ward, where I met some amazing people and learned a great deal about myself as a person and as the minister I am becoming. Early in my time there, I met a Vietnam veteran. The visit shaped my entire time in CPE and, in one way, has brought me close to the end of one road in my life. This road began when I was 11 years old. My oldest brother John was my hero, and next to my father, the most important role model. He went to fight in Vietnam. It was 1968, the worst year of the war. The television news bombarded us nightly with images of death and reports of opposition to our involvement, and editorials questioning our core goals as a nation and as a people. I saw and heard these reports, but at that age, all I cared about was John coming home safely. I did not understand about falling dominoes. I did not concern myself with the welfare of people halfway around the world. I wanted our armed forces to bomb our enemy into oblivion so that John, my brother, would not be harmed. John finished his tour of duty and returned home. We celebrated in our dining room the night he came back. There he sat, thinner and a little older, but still the brother I knew and loved. Almost the next day, however, the changes started. John talked less and spent much more time alone. He stayed up all hours of the night, reading voraciously. He and his wife quarreled more often. John's patience with his children grew shorter. I didn't know what was happening, but sensed that some part of my brother was missing. I entered junior high school and began a lifelong passion for history, particularly about Nazi Germany. I too read voraciously. One book titled Treblinka chronicled the events that occurred at the concentration camp of that name in Poland. The account introduced me to the Holocaust and engaged my curiosity and my revulsion about the potential for humans to harm one another. My interest in that era of our past gradually shifted away from battles and military strategy to the people of Germany. Not the soldiers and the fanatics, but the nurses, store owners, professors, and ministers. Everyday people. I still believed in war, at least that we needed to fight wars to protect ourselves, our way of life, and our basic principles of freedom and democracy. One thing that did die in me during that time was my belief in God. Like many people who travel the path that leads to atheism, I could not imagine how the God that all of my friends believed in could ever allow a thing like the Holocaust to happen. Why would the Father of Jesus condone war at all? As a result, I lived unchurched for many years until I discovered Unitarian Universalism as an adult. In Unitarian Universalism, I found a home that shared my revulsion for war, but still welcomed those who felt that sometimes war is necessary to defend freedom and democracy. Unitarian Universalism welcomed the lifelong learner in me, who taught religious education classes and wrote curricula for our churches to use. While writing one of my curricula, I explored the theory of just war. Just war is a doctrine of ethics asserting that a conflict can and ought to meet the criteria of philosophical, religious, or political justice, provided it follows certain conditions. One example of these many conditions would be just cause, which states that the reason for going to war needs to be just, such as recapturing things taken or punishing people who have done wrong. Another example is the condition of proportionality, which states that the force used must be proportional to the wrong endured and to the possible good that may come. The more disproportional the number of collateral civilian deaths, the more suspect would be the sincerity of a belligerent nation's claim to justness of a war it fights. Taken in its entirety, the conditions defining just war made a good deal of sense to me. At the same time, however, I also wrote a class session on conscientious objection and began to explore the philosophy of pacifism. Honestly, I found unconditional pacifism untenable. I admired Gandhi's version, his vision of nonviolent resistance, but frankly felt that the position taken by the historically Christian peace churches, the Quakers, the Church of the Brethren, and the Mennonites, simply avoided the challenges we face in a modern global society.